presentation, friends, just make a note of key important points as we are discussing, maybe through an example, maybe a key concept, or maybe a schematic representation, or any of the queries that you have as well. See to it that you make a note of it as we are running through our presentation, and do revert it back to ISBM query site and put across very clearly regarding the topic or any other query you have regarding marketing management. So in today's session of marketing management, we'll be addressing on two key areas, and these are very important areas to be addressed. One, we'll be looking into marketing communication strategies. The first half of the lecture we'll be addressing on this area, and the second half it would be on product mix and sales promotion. We'll discuss about personal selling as well. The two important areas, how to build a good marketing communication strategy, and two on personal selling. So first we'll start with marketing communication strategy. Friends, it's important to understand that we need not only have a good product at our disposal. That means we need not necessarily should have in terms of good quality, in terms of good concept, in terms of good value addition that we always been speaking of throughout our session on marketing management, that any product that a company represents should go on to meet the end customer value. Now this value could be satisfaction, it could be maybe convenience, it could be really handy to use as well. So it is not only important to address this, but it is also important that once you have a product at your hand, you need to communicate it as well. And they say that we are living in an information age, isn't it? You look at all the top 5-10 companies across the globe, they are all IT companies, isn't it? You take it from Apple, from Microsoft to Google, so all are IT related companies. So we are living really in information age. So when we are living in information age, we need to use real good communication strategies as well, so that we take our product or services at the customer level and connect them as well. And it's also important, friends, to understand that the communication strategy that used to work years back, maybe a decade back, or maybe 5 years back as well, might become redundant very fast or obsolete very fast. What do you mean by that? It means that whatever strategies we were using few years back need not necessarily those strategies will work in today's era and dimension. The reason being, information per se has been escalating by leaps and bounds. It really is creeping up by real multitudinal measures. So when we are developing a communication strategy, we need to be aware of various facets, right from awareness of technology, awareness of what kind of customer segment that you are targeting, what kind of product mix the company has, or whatever the product mix the company is intending in the pipeline as well. Based on all these factors, we'll be discussing on the communication strategy of the product. So the brief topic outline that we will be addressing in the first almost an hour of the session would be: 1, the product mix, what all product mix the company has; 2, integrated marketing communication. So we need not necessarily have a one-on-one communication. Say for example, Cadbury. Now Cadbury's have a huge basket of product mix. Yes or no? Right from silk to dairy milk to various other key segments in the food category that they have. Now Based on these product mix, they need to develop an integrated plan so that it's communicated to the end customer very well. So integrated product marketing communication. We'll look into a view of the communication process. We'll look into step by step how does the model of communication work, especially from a marketing perspective. When we are looking at communication between individuals, one on one, the ball game is different. But when we're looking at communication from an organization to a mass communication that kind of encompasses many people around, the communication tools design need to be selected and addressed accordingly as well. We look into steps in developing effective marketing communication. How effectively steps could be initiated in such a way that the design of the marketing plan is effective and it really connects to the customer. We look into the setting the total promotion budget and the mix. It's important that when we are going for marketing, communicating the marketing plan, it requires resources, and requires resources here implies financial resources. So what kind of budget the company has or is planning to have? What is the proportion that they should have? Is it vis-a-vis competition? Is it depending on your market share or what? And we'll also look into the socially responsible marketing communication, especially in this fast-paced world where people want fast results, fast satisfaction, instant things. It is companies also need to understand that they should not lose out or miss out on the ethical standards that the organization sets in for the customer. Because if ethics doesn't stand alongside with you, be it as an individual or as an organization, you cannot have a long run. You can make business, make money in short run. But if you're looking at a long range, if you're looking at the long haul to make, then having your value proposition straight is important. And when I say value proposition in this context, means the moral values that you are holding for. Otherwise, you know what happened to Satyam. It was the top 3 IT companies in India, Satyam, and it just went down within a week. Can you believe it went down within a week. So if people within the organization don't have a vision about ethics, then in the long run to sustain and survive and excel will always be a challenge. So we'll take up these topics one by one, look into examples as well, few case summaries as well, and look into the intricacies of the matter as well. So let's take it one by one. First, the promotion mix. So when we say the promotion mix, the promotion mix is a specific blend of advertising, public relations, personal selling, and direct tools that the company uses to persuasively communicate customers' value and build customer relationship. So there are two objectives. One, we are defining here what the product mix is. So we are saying the product mix is a blend of what all things? One, it could be related to advertising, public relations, personal selling as well, and also the direct marketing tools available where a company could directly connect with the end customer in such a way that it's going to deliver the end value of the customer, one, and two, also build a relationship as well, because communication is a tool also being used by the organization to build good relationship. When I say good relationship, it's about greater understanding of each other in terms of rapport building, and that's precisely the reason lot of organizations have CRM being introduced into their overall strategies, be it in the sales function, be it in the communication function, because these days companies understand that relationship building is important, especially when you are looking for a long-term commitment from the customer. Because gone are the days where you get business for a short time. In this highly competitive world, they say that if you really want to survive and sustain, it can only come through sustained loyalty from the customers. That means the same set of customers bringing business directly or indirectly through word of mouth. So this is what the entire product mix gets into. So when we look into major promotional tools available, if you look into this PPT and slide carefully, we look into it that it's a carefully blended mix of promotion tools. So the tools are, if you go one by one from your top right, 1. Personal selling. 2. Public relations. 3. Direct marketing. Then sales promotion. Then advertising. Now all these factors are factored in the tools of promotion mix, and with these tools, if you see right in the center of your slide, depicted and colored in red, is they all go on to build a consistent, clear and compelling company and brand messages. 3 important words. Consistent. Now understand, if any company that is communicating with the customer, they need to be consistent in their message, be it how they are building their brand or the tagline. So they need to be consistent. They cannot keep changing every year or so. Yeah, they can revisit their vision about it, but the vision should be reflected in the message and the tagline that they want to give with the communication to the customer. So it needs to be consistent. 2. Clear. Clear means it should not have different meanings about it. A customer by and large should draw same inferences, means what the company wants to throw the image, the customer receives it exactly in the same fashion to its maximum customers. 3. Compelling. Now compelling is important. Now when we say compelling, it means that the message is given in such a way that it really makes people to think about it. Let's take an example to demonstrate this. Say for example Nike. Nike always, in the last 20-30 years, they have never changed their tagline about it. Go for it. Now Nike understood that their end customers are sports and athletics. If this is the case, then it's important that all these people, be it people from sports or from athletics, are going to use their main product is shoes, and go for it is a drive and is a compelling vision that they're going for it. This is what you want and this is what we give. So it's compelling to the customer as well. You take another example, DTDC. Now DTDC is into transport and courier for some time, and the tagline remains delivering values. So if you just look at the marketing communication as well, delivering values. Now DTDC is into the business of transportation and courier. Now delivering, obviously we say it's about delivering the courier. Now delivering values. So that means they are building into the customer the sense that they are responsible, they are accountable, they have some ethics about it. And they are also saying that we are into the business of delivering. So that's how messages that the company wants to give. Now this we gave an example for tagline. This could apply to maybe an advertisement. This could apply to a print ad. It could be for a catalog based, or it could be a direct communication. Any of these tools that the company focuses on, it needs to understand that the message needs to be consistent, clear, and compelling. Okay, so let's look into all these tools one by one. One, advertising. Now, advertising is any paid form of non-personal presentation, promotion of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor. Now, advertising has been a big business in the last maybe a decade or two for that matter, wherein a lot of companies invest money or outsource it to advertising companies. They could be media-based company, it could be companies that exist that they specialize in this work of developing a concept, bringing ideas. Say for example, if you have seen advertisement of Vodafone. Now Vodafone advertisement right from the beginning have been different, and from the days of dogs to advertisement where if you have seen recent advertisements of Vodafone internationally as well, these advertisements where they are integrating many things, and that's what the Vodafone is also doing, or any service provider is doing as well. So they are integrating many things under one roof. Now it's not only about providing the call facility or the SMS facility, but it's also integrating the internet, the app facility, and lots more. So primarily, advertising is any form of non-personal presentation where the company outsources it and sees to it that the message is crisp, clear, and compelling. Now, advertisement could be done either through broadcast, it could be through print. Now, print, it could be a newspaper print, it could be a magazine print. So, for example, if you want to put up a job portal for that matter. Say, for example, people who are into the industry of jobs, so it could be an online portal broadcasted. Say, for example, Naukri, Monster, Jobs Ahead. All these broadcasted, or it could be a print media where the company thinks one, it puts its advertisement in Naukri or Monster. That's how you broadcast the available positions or vacant positions that a company has. Two, if you want to, it could put it up into print media. It could come as jobs classified on internet directly on their websites, or it could be outdoor. When we say outdoor, as far as jobs are concerned per se, if you have gone to any job fairs or trade fairs, now these are advertising the company's job. I hope you're getting this. Advertising company's jobs. Now, advertising company's job also is advertising to the company itself. So these are the various methods through which advertising could be done. Second, sales promotion, the another tool. Now, sales promotion is a short-term incentive to encourage the purchase or sale of a product or services. Now, sales promotion could be done in terms of if you visit any supermarket or even a small grocery shop for that matter. So there are lots of sales promotion activity being done. These are for short-term impetus. That means it propels it for short-term sales, especially when any of the businesses run into a lull phase or a tenure where the business does much. For example, you say take ice cream parlors, or the ice cream. Say for example, it could be Vadilal, it could be Quality Ice Cream, it could be any of these companies. Now, you know when it is summertime, so anyhow it's an ice cream season. But come rainy season or winter, that is not a great time generally to speak, to please the customer, to invite them for a parlor, ice cream parlor, or to sell them the concept of ice cream. So these are the months where the company takes the initiative to take sales promotion. So we have this lot of offer 1+1, or you get double scoop in maybe an extra cost of 10 rupees. So these are the factors that people take in. So it could be discounts. The sales promotion could be done in terms of discounts or coupons, or it could be displays where the visibility goes up. So if you are seen in FMCG any industry, displays works a lot. For example, if you take an example of Colgate. Now Colgate, in certain period of the year, what they do is they take a full rack about it and display it on board, the entire variant of Colgate. Or say for example, any food products. It could be Parley, it could be say for example Revital. Revital have a special display area as such, where the visibility goes up. Now, so the company ties up with the retailer in terms of giving them the display space, and they get an extra earning out of that extra shelf space or the display space. So this comes as part of brand merchandising. So you kind of display it in a good fashion, or it could be through demonstrations. Now, when I say demonstration, it could be in terms of how to use the product. It could be tasting the product. It could be they are not actually selling the product, but they are selling the concept behind it. Or it could be stage shows as well. It could be, if you have seen across, you have all these two-wheeler on display with the entire range on a big van. So it could be demonstrations, or it could be if it's an FMCG based market for detergents. So you have the entire range of HUL packs on display for it. So the entire sales promotion is also one of the measure where we use it. It could be in terms of discounts, coupons, displays, demonstrations. The other tool in product mix is public relations. Now, public relations involves building good relations with the company's various publics by obtaining favorable publicity, that is, building up a good corporate image and handling or heading off unfavorable rumors, stories, and events. Now, public relations in these days are very important. The reason being, we are living in information age. That means one thing, it is noted or brought to notice, it goes viral very fast. You all know this. It goes viral just in a click of the button. So, if this happens, if it is for good cause, it's good because it becomes viral very fast. It helps the organization as well. So that's part of viral marketing. But if it's a rumor or it has a negative shade about the product or the company, it is very important that a company have corporate spokesperson or public relation officer who kind of clarifies it. I would like to give an example in this direction. Cadbury, 4-5 years back, had some quality concerns in few of the plants, and many products went off the shelf, just like this, just like it happened to Maggie these days. So what Cadbury did was an instant thing, that first it went into and found out what the problem was, and then it brought about public figures. In the example of Cadbury, it was Amitabh Bachchan, a big personality, brought in forth, and along with the public relation officer, clarified the matter, and in that case, they admitted, yeah, it was a mistake from the company's end for not meeting the norms what the country demand of it in terms of quality standards, and they ensured that it would be not be repeated. Now, these measures are very crucial and important. Now, if somebody is admitting a mistake and is also committing to it that they will not make so, it makes more sense. Uh, in the case of Maggie, it has never happened till nobody has given a public statement about it. It's very important to make and come forward to the public and appeal to the public, whatever the case is. It brings in clarity, and this clarity is important in every aspect of life. So, public relations for a company is for clarifying things, because if something has gone wrong or something there are wrong rumors about the product or the company, then as a company, if you are not speaking for some time, then the customer tend to buy in the thought that this is correct. And if this is the case, then the end customer loses the brand equity or brand value within his mind. So, even if a company has taken long years of efforts to build a brand, it can go down within just like this if you're not responding or taking appropriate steps at the requisite time. So, it could be in terms of press releases, it could be sponsorships, or it could be special events. Now, sponsorships are for building a favorable opinion about it, or special events in terms of in terms of building an event where the company takes a forward step in advertising the company or its products, or web pages as well. Web pages where they declare publicly that this is what they are up to and this is what they want to contribute to. Then, personal selling. Now, personal selling is a personal presentation, personal one-to-one, personal presentation by the firm's sales force for the purpose of making sales and building customer relationships. We always say that the salesperson for any organization are brand ambassadors for the company. Brand ambassadors, the reason being the customer meets the salesperson, whichever field. For example, for a pharmaceutical company, medical representatives are the salesperson for any pharma company. Now, these medical representatives meet doctors who are the customers for any pharma company. They are the brand ambassadors. That means that for a doctor, whoever person comes as the medical representative, whoever comes, so he draws image of the company either by talking with the medical representative or by just looking at him. So that means he is not a personality at that point of time. He is the company itself at that particular moment for that particular customer. And this is a big time thing. So that means if the end salesperson, in this case the medical representative, is not speaking well, or is not dressed up well, or is having lack of knowledge, then it has a rub-off effect on the customer about the organization as well. So that means this is also one of the tool sales force wherein they can communicate what the customer, what the organization want to the end customer. Now it could be through sales presentation about the product, trade shows as well where they are sponsoring a conference or an event, or an incentive program as well. So this is about personal selling. Direct marketing, information age, we cannot forget direct marketing because we are all connected here and there by lots of things. So when we say direct marketing, it involves making direct connections with carefully targeted individuals. I repeat this word and please make a mention. Carefully targeted individuals. Understand this, friends, that when we are saying direct marketing, it is not that we just go and market across. We need to know which kind of customer segment that we are targeting. To obtain an immediate response and cultivate lasting customer relationship is important. Now, through the use of direct mail, telephone, direct response, television, email, and internet to communicate directly with specific customers. Now, you might have seen a lot of telemarketing advertisements being shown on television, and lots of them. So, wherein they come and advertise their product directly on television. Now, the time is important, about which time you take up to really show to the customer. Now, it depends on the product that the company has. If it's a washing machine, food, clothing as well, they come and advertise the product to the end customer. So, when we say direct marketing, we are directly approaching the customer, number one. Two, we need to be clear what kind of customer you are approaching as well. Important to know this. And three, the connect is established by two, three things. One, it could be response generated by telephone, it could be an internet, it could be an email or an SMS. So either of these are also forms of tools of communicating or having a feedback loop for this direct marketing. Now, it could be loops could be generated by catalog or through telemarketing, as we discussed, or through kiosk. Now, kiosk concept was first brought about by ICICI in banking, wherein if you really know banking, what it used to happen 20 years back. Now, banking itself, when a customer used to think about banks itself, it was a real tedious process. Just to withdraw your money, you need to first buy yourself time, so that you go to a bank, stand in a queue, take a coupon, and withdraw your own money. From those days to today, when we have moved on, a huge difference. So from mobile banking to e-banking, and also lots of when we see a kiosk is a bank by itself, a small machine, a bank by itself doing various things, be it the cash deposit, the check deposit, the withdrawals, the DD, lots of it. So kiosk is a small bank in itself, and ICICI was the first one to introduce this kiosk, where also the queries also could be addressed to with the end customer as well. So these are all part of direct marketing. So when we are looking at these tools of this product mix, we will try to look into how are we integrating this communication, because the new marketing communication landscape has changed and is evolving, and yet will evolve every 4-5 years. So the reason being, number one, customers are better informed. 5 years, 10 years back, people hardly used to know what is happening in other part of the globe. Forget other part of the globe. They not even know what's happening in other city or the state. These days, it's not the case. With the invent of lots of communication tools, be it of call service, of WhatsApp, or Facebook, world has become very small. Customers are informed the same day itself about developments happening across the globe. There is more communication. People are communicated better like never before. They are in touch, they are connected very well. So this is an advantage and a disadvantage as well. If you look from an organization perspective, advantage because there's something good to share, it spreads like this. But something a mishappening or something of a bad rumor is there that also gets communicated very fast as well. So companies need to be aware about it and design a plan accordingly. Less mass marketing. Now, when we say mass marketing is when we used to market the product on a mass scale without actually knowing who the end customer is or group of a cluster of your customer is. And the big disadvantage of any mass marketing is mistarget or misdirection, because majority of times that the communication that you're giving on to the end customer might not be a customer itself. For example, take an example in this case. For example, you are communicating to on a web, on internet, say for example, say for example print media. Take an example of the newspaper. Now, if you're giving an advertisement of news within the newspaper to any niche category, maybe of automobiles, it might not work because you're wasting the resource to the customer who might not really buy a high-end automobile based on this mode of communication. So that means there are better modes of communication for them. Maybe a personalized email works. So that means your data generation and data mining is important. A personal, a good catalog might work with getting into the physical mode as well. So what has happened is there is less of mass marketing, and hence when there is less of mass marketing, it also means that the cost would have been reduced as well, because it's a more focused approach, it's a more targeted approach as well. So with a changing evolution of the landscape in the IT and communication, companies also need to have a changing communication technology as well. So the need for an integrated marketing communication. So what does integrated marketing communication mean? It is the integration by the company of its communication channels mean tools that we discussed, to deliver a clear, consistent and a compelling message about the organization and its brand. So it's about when to use sales promotion or what percentage of resources or time for personal selling or for direct marketing or for advertisement or for public relations. So how are you going to allocate these resources? One, you can use all. Two, you can handpick one or two which gives the maximum thing. Now, if you're using all, you need to know in what proportion you need to allocate resource and time for these tools as well. So that is what we mean when we say we need to integrate the marketing communication. So now we will look into the view of the communication process. So when we are looking into, we have seen now the tools of communication and how we need to integrate based on what the product is, how the customer is. But we also need to know what is the basic process of communication itself. So when we are seeing the process, this slide is a good demonstration of the process. If you look into the slide, on the left hand side, you have a sender's field of experience. Now, on the right side, we have a receiver. Left side, we have a sender. So communication process, we know that there needs to be a sender, there needs to be a receiver. So if you see in the sender's field means whatever factors are involved as far as sender is concerned. So as far as sender is concerned, we have an encoding message. That means the message is coded in whatever form based on the customer's requirement. It could be print, it could be a catalog, it could be a direct marketing, it could be a concept based thing. So it's encoded via a media. If you see, the message is there, and this message is, if you see going ahead, is received by the receiver by decoding it. So the receiver decodes the message, and based on this message he makes the decision about it, whether to stay on with the brand, buy more brands, stop the brand, whatever the case may be. The message sinks into the customer. Now based and this, from the receiver we get a feedback as well. Now this feedback is feed forward as far as the sender is concerned. So the sender takes the feedback as well. Now we will look into, as the session progresses or in other lectures, how feedbacks are also taken, and there's a process and standard structure about it. So feedbacks are taken as well from the receiver, and how this feedback is interpreted and learnings are drawn from this feedback and put it back into the system of this loop. That means, is there any finer distinctions to be made within the encoding, or is there something new to be formed, or is there a need so that the concept itself needs to be changed? So these feedbacks are taken in and put it back to the sender as well. If you see in this slide, there is one more thing. If you see the overlap, in this overlap, two things are featuring of the sender's field of experience. If you see the right hand side, the receiver's field of experience. In this overlap of these two kind of circles, we have a message and also noise. When we say noise, are all the unwanted messages or messages of other things as well, or also message of computers as well. So in this noise, we mention this, we are living in an information age. That means there is always problem of abundance, problem of plenty as it's called. Too many choices, and a lot of time it becomes noise or obstruction, or the customer is confused, and there are so many things available. So if an organization really wants its communication to get through or really reach to the hearts of the end customer, then it really needs to stand out. Its communication needs to stand out. When we say its communication needs to stand out, that means you need to have effective tools. You need to train people well if it is a sales field force. You see to it that it's a state of art thing as far as the tools that you're using, or it could be a very neat concept itself, a very different concept itself, which the customer thinks this is different. Now, difference is what strikes any human brain, because similarity, just people tend to delete the information because they're just like a noise. But in a noise, if somebody shouts strongly, we tend to hear, oh, what is that noise all about? So what is that? Who is that stand out? Now, when we are communicating, it's not only about raising the volume, it's about what kind of difference you have generated. Now, difference could be a visual difference appeal, it could be auditory difference appeal, it could be any other sensory appeal that the organization really wants to connect to the customer. And let me tell you, friends, this is a very important flow chart. I repeat once again, left hand side is the sender's field of experience, right hand side receiver's field of experience. Now Point is, when a sender gives information, it needs to be encoded well. You see the middle overlap. Among many noises, your communication should be clear, consistent, and compelling. That's how it will stand out from the noise. The receiver should be able to decode the message clearly, and from this message, once the message is taken back, the sender needs to take the feedback as well. Feedback what the customer understood or how the customer perceived the product or its services. So, we look into the steps in developing effective marketing communication. So, first we understood what is a product mix. We saw the tools available. We also saw the basic process of communication. Now, we will look into, based on this information, what steps are there so that the organization develops a marketing communication. Number one step, an important step. Identify the target audience. Very important. Now, identification of target audience. Say for example, let's talk about mobile phones, the handsets. Now, Micromax has really created big noise levels even in a thick packed market of handsets. Now, there are lots of handsets available, but Micromax among the Indian company really is making strong waves. Now, there are available big players from Apple to Samsung to Lenovo, lots of them. But in spite of being from a very small player, Micromax has really made big in the last 5 years. So Micromax always knew that its end customer is the rural market. Reason? Because it knows the key value proposition that the company has to offer is price. That means it is going to give same features at a small price. If this is what their USP is or unique selling point is, then it knows that the first end customer is the rural marketplace. So they really made it big as far as rural areas are concerned. So they didn't start off their marketing venture with big metro towns. They started with small metro towns and then captured and made big in metros as well. No wonder it has recently also clocked the number one in Indian market as far as handsets are concerned. So identifying the target audience is important. Step 2. Determine the communication objective. What is it that you want to deliver to your customer is important. 3. Design the message. So once you know the customer, what to offer, then the design about it, the flow about it, how about it. Then choose the media. Choose whichever media that it could be personal selling, it could be direct marketing, it could be public relation officer, or a mix of any of those. And select the message source as well. So these are detailed steps involved as far as developing a marketing communication is concerned. The steps involved also is identifying the target market. Now, when we say identifying the target market, it means number one, what will be said. Now, as a strategic business unit head or people who are into strategic business, managers working working for companies for strategy utilization need to be very clear what will be said. 2, how it will be delivered or said. 3, when. The timing is important. If you're just like the example that we gave of ice cream, so timing, when, if you want to think of discounts or coupons, the timing. Where it will be said, that means which locations, which terrains, which states, which topography, which nation, which country. So where, location, and who will say it. When I say who will say it, that means it could be a public relation officer, it could be a sales personnel, it could be a print media, it could be a public figure or opinion leader. Who will say it? So when we are looking at the steps involved, these five elements are important. Number one, what will be said. Two, how it will be said. Three, when it will be said. Four, where it will be said, and who will say it. Then we'll look into determining the communication objective itself. Now, marketeers seek a purchase response that results from a consumer decision making process that includes the stages of buyer readiness. So, any marketing, when the organization wants to market a product, they need to understand the structure of decision making of the entire buying cycle of the customer. That means, let me put it once again. Any marketing strategy, whenever they are designing it, they need to also understand the cycle or the process or the structure of how a customer makes a decision to buy a product in the same category. Now, the general process involves one, awareness. The product needs to come into the awareness radar of the customer. Two, the knowledge about the product. And knowledge is not only, knowledge only per se will not suffice. You should have an emotion attached to it. You should have a liking to it. So let's take an example to Cadbury's, for example. Cadbury's, they are not only selling chocolates, isn't it? They have strongly connected chocolates with love, with warmth, with care, with celebration, isn't it? So they have attached emotion also. So the customer should have liking to the product. Then preference. So liking results into preference. Preference means when a customer goes on at the shelf or the rack or wherever the product or service is being displayed for sale, he needs to select a preference for that product, and then the conviction that okay, this is a good product. I know this product. I have tested this product. Or maybe it has come from mouth publicity. And then he goes on to make a decision to purchase the product. So once again, repeat the steps involved. One, awareness. You should be aware of the product. Two, should have the knowledge about the product. Three, liking of the product. Fourth, preference, conviction, purchase. Let's take an example to fit in all these stages. Let's take automobiles. Maruti. Now Maruti is there from 1980s or 1990s, late 80s to 90s. So first thing, we all know as far as Maruti, every Indian knows about Maruti as four-wheeler, because the awareness is very much there. Knowledge about the product. As automobiles are concerned, knowledge is there. Liking. A general liking about the product. So for the liking, it needs to have a value offerage. Now value offerage that a Maruti as a company gives to its customer is value for money. That's the value proposition that it offers to its customer. Then a preference. So if value for money is the tagline, then it's about preference then. And when you have a preference about it, there are many players in automobile, right from high niche end, be it an Audi or a BMW, to preference from a value to money. Then you get convinced about it. No, this is a tried and tested product throughout the time, and then he goes to the purchase. So there is an entire cycle about it. So when we so any marketing person, when they want to design a message, it goes to a AIDA model. First, get attention. AIDA is an abbreviated term for number one, A, get attention. Two, hold interest. So attention itself is not only important, but we need to hold interest as well. Arouse desire to at least go and look, and then eventually also to obtain action. That means purchase the product. So the message design of the AIDA model: get attention, hold interest, arouse desire, and then take action for the purchase of the product. Designing a message, the message what the company wants to give. Message content is an appeal or theme that will produce the desired response. Taglines are all message or message add-on. Nike we discussed, go for it. It's telling you to take action against it. So message content propels the person to take action about it. So this message content has two elements. One, a rational appeal. So it talks about logic, it talks about advantages vis-a-vis competition, it talks about convenience, and definitely an emotional appeal. Understand that people more often than not take emotional decisions as far as purchasing of product is concerned, or even affiliation to an individual is concerned. We are driven by emotions. So the product also needs to arouse or evoke emotions of liking, of desire, of preference. So two things: rational appeal and an emotional appeal as far as message content is concerned, and a moral appeal. Moral appeal in terms of ethics, in terms of philosophy of the organization. For example, we discussed the philosophy. Within the tagline itself, the philosophy is seen. For example, the DTDC's tagline, delivering value, it's a moral appeal. It itself seeks the philosophy or says the philosophy of the organization. So when we say of a rational appeal, it relates to the audience self-interest. Emotional appeal, it's an attempt to stir up positive or negative emotions to motivate a purchase. Now, stir up positive emotions, you can address negative emotions like, if you don't get this, you will get this. For example, hit a mosquito repellent or a cockroach repellent. So how do you negatively stir up emotions? So they say that if you don't buy a hit or any of the mosquito or a cockroach repellent, your kid might lose on school days, which are important. So that's how you negatively stir up the emotions. Moral appeal is directed at the audience sense of right and proper. So it's also about getting committed to the moral values, and it has a lot to do with the cultural sentiments of the organization as well, the moral appeal. Then, choosing a media. So when we say choosing a media, the organization needs to be careful about what kind of media the organization is selecting for a personal communication. Now, it could be in terms of personal communication, it involves two or more people communicating directly with each other. For example, if you go to purchase or get services of your mobile service, so there is a personal communication happening between a customer representative and the client. So it's a personal communication happening as well. So it could be face to face, For example, for mobile service, it's face to face. It could be on phone. So if suppose in a job market, if there's a consultant and who is an interface between an employer and an employee, and if he wants to market the product of the employer, then it could be a phone to the prospective employee based on database, or it could be through a mail. For example, bank offering or giving multiple mails or mass mails for clients to open an account with them, especially if they're new banks. For example, take newer bank, could be a Yes Bank, could be a Kotak Mahindra Bank or DCB Bank, which are relatively new to the marketplace as banking is concerned. So putting a mass mailers to clients across to start, and you have things like the tagline goes that you can start your banking account within less than 10 minutes. Now, when we have a catch line like this, what they are trying to target is generally starting an account is a tedious process in terms of documentation and also the time loss as well. So the company is harping on that you can start off your banking account within less than 10 minutes, number one, and also that you could have your own banking number, because people are fascinated by keeping numbers which are close to them. Now there's an emotional aspect getting attached to it. Now emotional aspect, certain people want favor certain numbers. So it could be a last digit or it could be a 3-digit last digit. So in this example, the bankers give a choice to the end customer so that they can have a banking account number of their choice itself. So that's how it comes into picture. It could be an email or it could be an internet chat as well. Now, personal communication is effective because it allows personal addressing and feedback. Now, in any other form of communication, if it's not personal, then say for example, if it is an email, the communication happens only one-sided. So, if it's a mass email communication, you never get to know the response of the customer because you just have to communicate 50% to it. You never know the response of it. In a personal communication, it's face off. You get to exactly know, or maybe you can go on to ask, what didn't you like about our product or services? Why are you rejecting this product, or why are you getting this product? Tell me the top 3 reasons why are you buying this product? What fascinated you? So there's an instant feedback coming in. Now these feedbacks for any organization is important because with these feedback, as we have seen the communication process, these feedbacks are important to incorporate if something could be taken and put it encode in the message itself so that it becomes more effective, more applied, more consistent. And control as well, for control of personal communication. In a personal communication, you can be tailor-made. That means you can fit into the customer's needs and wants in a very personalized kind of fashion, very need adapted way as well, based on company, independent experts, or by word of mouth. So this control is always there. Now it could be done through opinion leaders. Now opinion leaders are the people within a reference group who, because of their special skills, knowledge, personality, or other characteristics, exert social influence on others. For example, let's take an example over here. The company is into manufacture of toothpaste. Now tell me, who is influencer or opinion leader in toothpaste? Undoubtedly, dentist, isn't it? So, when a toothpaste manufacturer want to market its communication, no better opinion leader than a dentist. And that's the reason you find majority of advertisements are done for a toothpaste company is invariably a dentist. Buzz marketing. Now, what's buzz marketing? The buzz marketing involves cultivating opinion leaders and getting them to spread information about the product or services to others in the community as well. It's about building. Say, for example, if it's a pharmaceutical company and they want to launch a product or a drug which specializes uh, in um, in respiratory infections, or the drug is used to cure bronchitis or any respiratory infection. So we know that the key opinion leaders in this segment would be chest physicians. Yes or no? So if chest physicians could be developed, nurtured, given a platform to 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 maybe held a conference for understanding or gaining awareness of how bronchitis could be lethal and harmful if not detected early. Now, the session could be on awareness about the disease, and he is delivering lecture to other doctors who might be of other specialties, could be general practitioners, could be normal physicians. Now, if these people or customers are targeted through this buzz marketing, it really sets the platform to market the product on a large scale. This was about personal communication channels. We look into the non-personal communication channel. The non-personal communication channel is media that carry messages without personal contact or feedback, including major media atmospheres and events that affect the buyer directly. Now, the major media include print, broadcast, displays, and online media, where you don't get a feedback or response from the customers. Neither you get uh, an approval or a disapproval from the customer as well. Atmosphere over here, when we say, are designed environments that create or reinforce the buyer's learning towards buying a product. Say, for example, you walk inside a shopping mall. In a shopping mall, they a lot of atmosphere is generated, for example, of trial and testing a product. So, if a company is into video game manufacturing and they in a shopping mall they take a corner and assign it for playing zone for kids, wherein kids can come in and just play a game to have a feel of it or the hang of it. Now, when they try test it, and if the end customer, in this case the kids, are happy about it, they will tell their parents to buy the product. So that's how we set the atmosphere based on what your product is, where to be done, and what kind of communication channel or source to be used. Events are staged occurrences that communicate messages to target audience. Special events have been organized. For example, health camps have been organized as well. For example, if if a company is into asthma drugs, so a lot of health camps have been organized by pharmaceutical companies and the European doctors, so that they do a free test for lung function test for the end audience. And when people suppose are detected with compromised lung function, they are given an opportunity to prescribe their inhalers or anti-asthmatic drugs. That's how events are organized. It could be also press conferences, it could be grand openings as well. For example, Bollywood releases, where a lot of premiere shows or grand openings are being staged in just to build attention, gather attention about the product, in this case, the films. Or exhibitions are being laid out as well, or public tours, where tours are being generated to advertise the product across the length and breadth of the country or the nation as well. The message impact on the target audience is affected by how the audience views the communicator. Important. Now, when I say views, it also means how does the customer perceives in terms of its attitude, skill, and knowledge about the product. So that's the reason selection of celebrities becomes important. It could be an athlete. So we have Michael Jordan featuring in a lot of people who want to be competitive. It could be a tonic. It could be a height builder. It could be a bodybuilder. It could be about performance. It could be about success. It could be entertainers. It could be professionals as well. The doctors, that was an example of this example, or the healthcare providers, doctors that we spoke about. Now, once we know this communication channel, the next step definitely is collecting the feedback. Now, it involves the communicator's understanding the effect on the target audience by measuring behavior resulting from the behavior. So, if a communication has gone to a customer, the company needs to see what kind of impact it had on the customer of that message, so that based on that message it can fine tune it as well. The next aspect that we will see in marketing communication is the total promotion budget. Now, we will talk about affordable budget methods sets the budget of an affordable level. So when we say of affordability, we speak on levels like it ignores the effect of promotion on sales. When we are setting it, it could be set up based on percentage of sales. Now, here the point is how much budget should be allocated for communicating the strategy or about the product, be it on advertisement, be it on print or sales force, how much percentage? So one, it could be percentage of sales method, wherein the set of the budget at a certain percentage of current or forecasted sales or unit sales price. So it could be 5%, 10%, 15%, or easy to use and help management think about the relationship between promotion, selling price, and profit per unit. So it could be a mix of all these as well. Wrongly views sales as the cost rather than the result of the promotion. Or it could be competitive parity method. That means they will look into what competitors are doing. That means how much amount of money competitors are spending. So competitive parity method sets the budget to match competitors' outlay. It could represent industry standards, avoids promotion wars as well. If they are into, if there is a huge basket of it, it could be about standard structure, about percentage of budget. Or it could be an objective and task method, which sets the budget based on what the firm wants to accomplish with promotion. That means which includes defining what kind of promotion objectives, what kind of objective the promotion of the strategy itself has, determining what the task to achieve the objective, what tasks need to be achieved, could be also estimating the actual cost involved. Now we'll speak now about shaping the overall promotional mix, the nature of each promotional tool. Now, advertising reaches masses of geographically dispersed buyers at a lower cost per exposure, enables the seller to repeat a message many times. When we are seeing of mass exposure, one, it reaches to across the length and breadth of the country. Plus, it could be repeated many times over as well. We look into the personal selling. Personal selling has been seen throughout history. It is the most effective method at certain stages of buying processes, particularly in building buyers' preferences, convictions, actions, and developing customer relationships. Now, when we say of sales promotion includes coupons, contests, sent-off deals, and premiums that attract consumer attention and offer strong incentive to purchase and can be used to dramatize product offers and to boost sagging sales. So, if you see sales promotion normally being done where normally there are sagging sales, it could be in terms of discount coupons, it could be sent-off deals as well. Public relations, how does it shape? Public relation is very believable form of promotion that includes new stores, stories, features, and sponsorships and events. If you see direct marketing is a non-public, immediate, customized, and interactive promotional tool that includes direct mails. It could be a catalog, it could be telemarketing, or it could be an online marketing as well. So we'll put all these in perspective. If you see the top half of the slide in the slide, we have producer on the left hand side and consumer on the right hand side. So if you see the top half, it's a push strategy on the top side wherein the producer produces the product and has marketing activities, could be personal selling, trade promotion, or others via the channel partners. It could be retailers and wholesalers, wherein the resellers marketing activities, it could be personal selling, advertising, sales promotion, goes to the customer. Based on this customer, there's a demand to it, and this demand goes back to the retailer and feedback, and this demand goes back to the producer as well, and the cycle continues. So when we are looking at the total promotion budget and mix, understanding the cycle and developing the push and pull mechanism is important. So when we are integrating the promotion mix, the checklist would be: 1, identify customer touch points, which areas could be tapped upon. 2, analyze trends, internal and external, what's happening around. 3, audit the pockets of communication spending throughout the organization, understanding where the gaps are. 4, teaming up communication planning. So that means you are integrating the other SBUs. It could be manufacturing, it could be selling as well. 5th, creating compatible themes, tones, and quality across all communication media. 6, create performance measures that are started by all communication elements. And last, appoint a director responsible for the company's persuasive communication efforts. So you set up an accountable person who is responsible and accountable for communication. And before we sum up this aspect of communication strategies, we cannot finish it off before understanding socially responsible marketing communication. When we say socially responsible, it means that communicate openly and honestly with customers and resellers. I repeat 2 words: openly and honestly. Important. 2, avoid deceptive or false advertising. Don't bluff. Don't try to show what you are not. It is important that you are showing what you have got in the product. 3, avoid bait and switch advertising. So You don't, the intention should not be to catch hold of customers. That's not what as an organization you want. If if your overall intention is just to get profits or just to get money, as an organization it cannot thrive long. So intention should be to delivering value to the customer. Fourth, conform to all federal, state and local regulations. So go abide by the state nomenclature. Follow rules of fair competition. So don't undercut the pricing just to grab hold of the marketplace. Do not offer bribes. It violates the basic laws of the state. Do not attempt to obtain competitor trade secrets. So you maintain confidentiality and also respect confidentiality of others as well. And do not disparage competitor or the products. So when you are marketing your communication, don't put the competitor down in terms of their image. Respect the competitor as well. So this part of being socially responsible as an organization as well, where you are communicating very clearly as well. So this is what we have tried to understand in the marketing communication. And let me tell you, these are important points that we need to address. Now in the second half of this section, around 40 minutes or so, we will be discussing on personal selling and sales promotion. Now personal selling has been very close to the heart to every individual, because he or she goes to this part of personal selling every now and then, be it as an individual. We are also selling ourselves. If you're going for an interview, within some time you would go either for a new job or for a first job, you're selling yourself, isn't it? Your skills, your knowledge. So personal selling and sales promotion, we'll look into it from an organizational perspective. The topic outline that we'll be addressing are personal selling, role of sales force, managing the sales force, the personal selling process itself, sales promotion. These are topics that we'll be looking to. One, the role of sales force. Now, personal selling is the interpersonal part of promotional mix and can include face-to-face communication, telephonic communication, video or web conferencing. We have seen, and we're taking from the last lecture as well, or last part of the lecture, is personal selling is a tool of promotional mix, and it can include face-to-face communication, a telephonic communication since it is personal, video or even a web conferencing as well. The nature of personal selling. Salespeople are an effective link between the company and its customers to produce customer value and company profit by representing the company to customers. I mentioned earlier that salespeople are brand ambassadors. Important to understand. So they're representing the company to customers. They're representing customers to the company as well. So they are actually representing customers as well to the company. They are working closely with marketing. So sales force are actually applying whatever is designed as tools of marketing. So when we say sales, managing the sales force, now sales force management is the analysis, planning, implementation, control of sales force activities. Now activities will go one by one. One, designing sales force strategy and structure. That means here, what should be the total sales force in terms of size? Two, what kind of competencies they require in terms of knowledge or selling skills. Then, once you know this, recruiting and selecting the sales force. Third, training them for the product. Then, compensating them well, be it with salary and incentive and fringe benefits. supervision through supervisors, and evaluating through appraisals. So when we are designing sales force structure, it's about territorial sales force structure, product sales force structure, customer sales force structure, or complex sales force structure. So we'll go by one. The territorial sales force structure. The territorial sales force structure refers to a structure where each salesperson is assigned an exclusive geographical area and sells the company's full line of products and services to all customers in that territory. For example, let's take an example of an FMCG company, ITC. Now, ITC, if they are into retail of food products, so every end sales representative will have a territory of which he will be allocated and responsible and accountable for. That defines the salesperson's job. That means these are the customers to be met. It fixes accountability because it gets to know that you will be responsible for this geographical domain. It lowers sales expenses because the commutation cost is cut down, and also since the person is representing a smaller location, it improves relationship building and selling effectiveness. If the same person or same face is seen by the customer, that means over here the retailer, then he tend to have better relationship and hence better sales as well. Product sales force. Product sales force structure refers to structure where each salesperson sells along a product line. That means every sales force has specific product line. Say for example, ITC has different products. One could be for food, the other for stationery. They have a separate line for stationery under a brand called Classmate for ITC. For food it is different. So they are product specific. They improve product knowledge, can lead to territorial conflicts as well sometimes. Third, the customer sales force. The customer sales force structure refers to structure where each salesperson sells along customer or industry line. For example, few people get the customer type. For example, pharmaceutical business. Certain representative, for example, meet only chest specialists, or could be gynecologist, or could be pediatrician. So based on the customer specialty, the structure is designed. It improves customer relationship because they are very specific. Or it could be the fourth one. The structure could be the complex sales force structure. Now, complex sales force structure refers to a structure where a wide variety of products is sold to many types of customers over a broad geographical area and combines several types of sales force structures. Now, if you see, salespeople are one of the company's most productive and expensive asset. Important. Most productive and expensive asset. The increase in sales force size can increase sales and cost both. If you see, the workload approach to sales force size refers to grouping accounts into different classes to determine the number of sales force needed. So it depends on how many accounts the person is going to handle. What is the product type? It could be based on product type, it could be customer type, it could be geographical location type. So based on that, how much load is there, based on that the number could be allocated. Or outside sales people call on customers in the field. Or inside sales people will conduct business from their offices and often provide support for the outside sales people. So outside are people who are outside the company location. For example, Parley has their own sales field force who never come to office. They're always on the field. And for them, their backup is an inside sales force support staff. It could be logistics, it could be admin, it could be HR. are all part of support function of this. It could be technical sales force or sales assistant. If you see, team selling is used to service large and complex accounts. Complex accounts here reference to the customer. So the next stage in the process of sales building is recruiting, and selecting salespeople includes careful selection and training increases sales performance. Very important point to be understood. If a person has no inclination for sales, recruitment is important. So right person doing the right job is important. Poor selection can really cost you a lot. It increases recruiting and training costs, lost sales, and plus attrition as well. It disturbs customer relationship and also the brand image as well. And how to manage the sales force? If you see, managing the sales force is concerned, the salesperson is managed in terms of compensation as well. Now, these compensation could be based in terms of fixed amount, in terms of salary that he is drawing, or it could be variable amount or VDA, based on the location that a person works on. The expenses. Now, expenses are very important ingredient about any salesperson, because whenever he is out of job of the company location, there are expenses happening every day. So, how the expenses are being taken care of in terms of reimbursement, and what is the speed of reimbursement matters to a salesperson. The fringe benefit in terms of LTA, in terms of travel allowances, in terms of leave are the compensation that is important from a sales perspective as well. The next section is supervising and motivating salespeople. Since every salesperson goes to the marketplace, he hears a lot of no's or rejection from the customer. So keeping the salesperson motivated is important, and also supervising as well. The goal of supervision here is to help salespeople work smart by doing the right things in the right way. So here the supervisor's role is important in this section. The goal of motivation is to encourage salespeople to work hard and energetically towards sales force goals. Every day is a new day as far as new accounts are generated. So, if every day is a new day, from a sales perspective, it applies a lot, because the past records are only records. If you want to survive and excel, new sales has to be generated every day. That means he or she needs to be motivated as well, and that's why supervision comes in very important, to identify if somebody is lagging behind, if somebody is demotivated, how to motivate them, what are the tools available as well. So let's look into how a salesperson spends their time. This is a very interesting the slide that you have. If you see, generally across industries, it has been found that majority of time it is 31% goes into administration. That's the major chunk. Then the travel time and the personal downtime form the next second half. The active selling time, if you see, for majority of sales happens only 10%. Effective sales. Now it could be a sales call, it could be face-off selling, it could be a telecall. 10% is active sale. The other is also prospecting and problem solving. Now, when I say 10%, it is important to understand over here that if you are spending the correct 10%, because if you're not doing a prospecting of a client, then you are not really focusing on the right client. So the right client to be approached in the right way is important. So when we are looking at an active sales generation of 10% also is good enough, provided you are really targeting the right audience in the right way, selling and the internet. Now major tools to support the sales people are training, sales meetings, live sales presentations or servicing accounts, supervising and motivating salespeople. Now, if you see, sales morale and performance can be increased through organizational climate. The climate is important. That means what is the prevalent mood of the organization or the people around who are working. So if in a team, if people are not motivated enough, then the chances of the person excelling also is difficult. So need to have the right organizational climate, sales quotas, and positive incentives. Now, incentives could be in terms of recognition. Incentives could be financial rewards. Incentives could be completion of years of service. Incentives could be the actual profits that extra that a person offers to the organization above and beyond of what is required by him. Then comes evaluating salespeople and sales performance. So once the supervision is done, then it is also important how do we evaluate people as well. Now, evaluation could be done by sales reports, call reports, and expense reports. Sales reports involve the performance report, what the salesperson has achieved. Call reports, how many clients he has met, at what frequency, were it implemented over, if there is any sales promotion or activity or gift coupons were distributed at the right time to the right customer. Third, expense report in terms of accountability as well to be looked into. So we will look into the entire selling process. The goal of personal selling process is to get new customers and obtain orders from them. So when you saying prospecting and qualifying is the first thing that you have the right kind of database. You have a pre-approach to it. What kind of plan you have to approach this client, and then you approach the client with a design and a structure to it. Then we do a presentation and demonstration. Then we handle objections. We close the call with a demand, and we follow up the same customer with new tools, with new incentives, new communication strategies, thereby building and maintaining profitable customer relationships. We'll look into each of this one by one. One is prospecting. When we say prospecting the client, it means that it identifies qualified potential customer through referrals from customers, suppliers, dealers, or internet. Here comes the point of data, because prospecting requires that you need to have a data from which you need to handpick the right customers. Now this data could be your existing customers, it could be through suppliers, it could be through dealers or internet, where you are looking into what have been their contribution, what are they doing with the competitors things is important. Then qualifying. So from prospecting, we find out who are the customers that are important to us. They are called as prospectors who qualify for us in our basket range or with our product mix. Now qualifying is identifying good customers and screening out poor ones by looking at one, financial ability. The customer might be good, but if he is not able to pay you, it doesn't make sense to you as a salesperson. The volume of business is going to generate. So because every salesperson has involved a cost to it. That means every salesperson, there are overhead costs, and the company evaluates what is the minimum that the salesperson need to deliver the value. So if a salesperson has a value over its cost, he need to get from each customer what he can draw. So what is the volume of business he can draw each customer? The needs of the customer, the location in terms of geographical location where expenses comes into picture, and the growth potential. So what age bracket the customer is in. So if he's a new customer, in terms of low age, all the more helpful because he can give to a longer span of business time. Then the pre-approach. That means you're designing how to go about it. In pre-approach is a process of learning as much as possible about a prospect, including needs, who is involved in buying, and characteristics and styles of the buyers. So that means he should have a clear-cut defined objectives wherein he qualifies the prospect, gathers information. Now qualifying comes from gathering information, gathering data. It could be from internet, it could be suppliers, other customers, and make an immediate sale. The objectives are this. The approaches could be a personal visit, a phone letter, a phone call, or a letter. Then the approach itself. The approach, when we say, is a process where the salesperson meets and greets the buyer and gets the relationship off to a good start and involves the salesperson in 1. Appearance, opening lines, follow-up remarks. Now it's important that when a salesperson approaches, it's important that how is presentation. That means his physical presentation as well. The opening remarks, how does he pitch in his sales call, and the follow-up remarks, how he is good in following it up the business well. The opening line should be positive, build goodwill, and should be followed by key question to learn about the customer's needs or showing a display or sample to attract buyer's attention or curiosity. Opening lines, when we say from a salesperson, great morning to you. So these are good openings. And then key questions. So what are you looking forward in this key segment? What should help you? What should be more convenient to you? What else have you thought which is causing hindrance or obstructions to you? This is about how do you identify the needs or obstructions as well. The most important attribute is for the salesperson to listen. The old concept which was always there was, if you want to sell more, speak more, which has changed over a period of time. It says that if you really want to sell more, first, in today's world, you need to listen more. Because when you listen more, you gather more data. And that data is important to pitch in your sales call more effectively. And when you have more data at your disposal, whatever you then speak is succinct, apt, sharp, and based on the need of the customer. There's a more buy-in with the customer. Presentation. Now, when you're presenting a product, presentation is when the salesperson tells the product story to the buyer, presenting customer benefits and showing how the product solves the customer's problem. So it's about need identification and how the customer is going to demand or fulfill that need or demand. So need satisfaction approach is the buyer's want solutions, and salespeople should listen and respond with the right products and services to solve customer problems. So steps in personal selling process, the negative triads which hinders good personal selling are pushy. If you're too pushy, the customer will repel you or reject you. you're late. If you're consistently late, that persona or has a rub-off effect on on the characteristics of the product as well. Deceitful means you're trying to put something down, or you really are going to take advantage of some situations. You're disorganized, you don't have a plan about it, or unprepared about the sales call. The positive track to make any personalized selling effective are: need to be good listeners, one. Two, emphatic, need to be understand what the customer is thinking. Be honest. Dependable. Dependable means it's important for, especially for a salesperson, is you should walk your talk. That means whatever you say, you do that. So if you're committed to a customer about something, then you better deliver that. So when you do that, you become dependable. There's a trust being endowed upon you, and that is reflected in business as well. Thorough about the product knowledge, about the customer knowledge, about your territory knowledge. The follow-up systems, you design a good system on based on which there's a good follow-up being generated. Then handling objections. Now handling objection is a process where sales people resolve problems that are logical, psychological, or unspoken as well, because not every customer might object. We as good salesperson sometime also understand what customer objections are as well and addresses them as well. The next stage is closing. When we say closing, closing is a process where a sales people should recognize signals from the buyer. It's important that there are certain buying signals that the customer gives. Like for example, a few things that are physical actions, like that the customer leans ahead towards the salesperson, are indicators of it. He asks question. He talks about pricing. He talks about intention. He's open-ended in his body language. These cues that the salesperson need to identify and then close the sale. Follow-up, if you see, is the last step in which salesperson follows up after the sale to ensure customer satisfaction and repeat business. It is said that if you make a good customer, irrespective of any business it is, there is a good chances that it is said that the customer gives repeat business at least 6 times in his lifetime. Yes, it is dependent on the kind of industry and the product that you say, but at least 6 times. So that means if you are building a customer and following it up, what is following it up helping? Following it up, a customer helps to bind the customer or engage the customer for a longer period of time. And that really is the foundational principle of getting loyalty. Personal selling and managing customer relationships. When you say personal selling, it is a transaction oriented to close a specific sale with a specific customer. Specific sale with a specific customer. That means we are very clear about what kind of customer orientation is there and how are we going to align it in terms of selling it as well. It is a long-term goal is to develop a mutually profitable relationship. That is precisely the reason these days everybody speaks of CRM or customer relationship management, where people want to build relationship for lifetime, because if you consistently keep a customer for some time, chances are that it rolls on to the next generation as well. So sometimes it's about generation to generation, this loyalty and bonding is there. let's let's talk about examples in this direction. Let's take LIC for an example, a big brand in insurance business. It comes as a public domain. Now, if you speak of LIC, the first thing, what is the first word that comes to your mind when you speak of LIC as a brand? For many, I don't know about what you thought about it, but for many, it is trust. It's a symbol of trust. Now, for LIC, trust is what their mission and philosophy has been. The tagline also has been Zindagi ke saath bhi and Zindagi ke baad bhi. That means we will be there as you live and also after you live as well. So what is it showing is it is showing trust and companionship as well. So once you build a brand, it goes through generations together. That not only happens with only insurance. You see with examples like your television, your refrigerator, your household things. A lot of family culture influences it in the sense that it runs in the family as brands as well. The sales promotion. Now, sales promotion refers to short-term incentives to encourage purchase or sales of a product or service. Now, this could be in terms of customer promotions, trade promotions, sales force promotions. And we'll also look in the factors in the growth of sales promotion. The product managers are under pressure to increase current sales because the pressure is always there to increase productivity. The product managers are intense pressure. So to augment that, and also the factors also involve that we all are living in a stiff competitive world across any industry. You take simple things as well. Now, say for example, online media. Now, there's a strong competition right from Snapdeal to Flipkart to Amazon. They are cutthroat competition every now and then, and they are neck to neck. So the competition is getting stiff day by day. Competitive brands offer less differentiation. That means there are always Me Too categories coming in. Me Too means just like each other. That means there is a lot of noise. That means they are all similar alike. So the differentiation is less. If it is more differentiated, it is easier to make an impact. Advertising efficiency has declined due to rising costs, clutter, and legal constraints. So these are a few factors which impedes the growth. And also, consumer have become more deal oriented. That means consumer want more. They also see what they can get the best from. So they are very opportunistic these days as well. So that means good sales promotion need to be drawn across. Now, when we say good sales promotion, this could be done by various methodology. If the setting sales promotion objective includes things like consumer promotions, trade promotions, and sales force promotions. Consumer promotions where it is directly given to the consumer to taste the product, to draw the consumer to the shelf space or to the retail space or to the online space where the customer can come in to get the product itself, or the trade promotions where a lot of trade shows are being depicted. Could be an exhibition, could be a demonstration wherein a lot of trade activities are done, or the sales force promotion. So these are three tools that are being used for sales promotion. So major tools. to encash it become samples. Sampling have been one of our very tried and tested tools throughout, where you take samples of every category. Say, for example, in pharmaceutical industry, samples are being given across so that the customer can use it on its end customer. There are tasters available. For example, you get a lot of these newspapers attached with maybe a small sachet of a detergent, could be a coffee, could be any of those, where the company wants the customer to try the product. It could be coupons, it could be cash refunds, it could be price packs, it could be premiums, it could be advertising specialities, it could be patronage rewards, point of purchase displays, demonstration, contests, sweepstakes, and games. So look into this one by one. One, samples offer a trial amount of the product. That means the part of the product. These are kind of the part of the whole kind of thing that is being used as testers, where the customers can actually taste it. Coupons. Now, coupons are certificates that give buyers a saving when they purchase specified products. Now, if you're going to a shopping mall or say, they give coupons where you give an add-on benefit where you purchase a specified set of products. So it could be 5% of the total amount value, anything above 5,000 rupees. So suppose if you go to a Van Hussein outlet in a retail in a shopping mall, you will get that maybe 10% discount coupon on it. Or it could be cash refunds, which are similar to coupon, except that the price reduction occurs after the purchase. So here it is given after the purchase. Or it could be price packs. Now, price packs offer consumer saving off the regular price of the product. So it could be price packs are given where there are savings from the regular price. So suppose if it's a soap manufacturing company, so it gives a 2% discount flat off. Premiums. Now, premiums are goods offered either for free or at low prices. So it could be premiums could be for premium customers or customers who are who come regularly for it. Or advertising specialties are useful articles imprinted with the advertiser's name, logo, or message that are given as gifts to consumers. Now, it could be a small keychain, it could be a calendar. Now, all these are advertising tools that it offers a benefit in terms of usage, but also it's a logo resemblance with that whenever a customer is looking at a calendar or maybe a small keychain, he's reminded of the product more so often. So it comes with attention awareness more often and hence develops a good equity. It could be a point of purchase as well. A point of purchase promotion includes displays and demonstration that take place at the point of sale. The point of purchase, especially when you go to a shopping mall where you have a point of purchase where a lot of small things are kept open. It could be a book counter, it could be small candy bars where they're given at the point of purchase. Or it could be contest sweepstakes as well, and games that consumers gets a chance to win something such as cash, trips, or goods by luck or through extra effort. Or the contest requires an entry by a consumer, that means data is repeated in. Sweepstakes requires consumers to submit their names or for drawing, or it could be games, or customers is something that may win a prize, or event marketing. Then we have discounts, allowances, free goods, and speciality arising as well. These are all parts of sales promotion. So let me summarize this all up by saying that sales promotion, especially from a sales perspective, really becomes a handful tool to make not only the communication strategy effective, but also puts the entire gamut of operations from a strategic perspective really well. So any of